dude?
I'm about as ready as I'm going to be, yeah.
As you can see, co-host Hasty is a little bit worse for wear today.
I'm a little bit tender. Just a little bit.
This is becoming a bit of a bad habit. Not just from you, because on the Spanish flu one, I was hungover because I'd been out the night before. And I wasn't like sore head or anything, but I was just really, really, really tired.
Yeah.
And obviously I'd wrote down all these notes, done all this research on a historical event that happened 100 years ago. And I don't know about you, but when you wake up like you did today,
and you're like, oh,
you're still in like the state you were from in the night before, and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to suffer information overload because I can't deal in sentences today.
You should have seen me trying to write this. I was sat there watching videos and like typing it in, like searching what I could, and I was just like, right, how do I do an S? How do I spell? And I'm looking at each word, and I'm like, contingency, and I'm sitting there going like continuous. I'm like, that's not right. This happened a lot. I have a lot of scored out words because I was like, I can't do it, can't do it. But now, after my shower and some food, I feel slightly more human.
You're now in function.
Yeah.
Let's address the elephant in the room right now.
Yeah, we have comfy seats, people.
How do we like the new setup?
I'm a big fan of these boom arms. It's almost strange because it feels like it's someone's actually like,
yeah.
Give us your thoughts. I know, but no, I like it. I like the table.
This is more chill though, right? Like we can just be like laid back,
relaxed. Yeah,
and I think that's going to add because we don't really have any notes today. Because
I mean,
you have some talking points which we're going to go over, but because I suppose it's so fresh in the mind what we're going to be talking about, there's not really much need.
Yeah,
and this is kind of a stopgap episode in the sense of
just to keep it going.
Things capitulated this week, right? Like we were meant to do one on Pablo Escobar's empire, right?
Yeah.
And then we were kind to ourselves because we're like, okay, we have some in reserve because this one's going to come out in like a week and a half's time or whatever it is. And we're like, we've been grinding these for 3 months straight, week after week after week. We can afford 1 week off.
Oh yeah.
Because we had one plan for, this is Sunday today, but we had one plan for yesterday. Then unforeseen circumstances
with work.
Yes. Yeah. And that all kind of capitulated, but it's just been rescheduled. It's not cancelled.
That's it. That's it. It was like today as well. That's why I was like, I'm not cancelling. I need a bit more time. just give me an extra hour. I'll be fine.
Time is the most valuable currency that we have.
That's it. So Ryan, shall we tell them what we're actually going to speak about today?
Okay, so we're just talking basically about current events, and everything's went crazy again in the world.
As always.
We thought the crazy part was over. 18 months of crazy, and we're like, okay, I think we're getting over this now. And then about last week's when all the stuff proper went down to the state that we're in now.
Is that September 25th?
Yeah, along the line. That's when it started getting mental. And you've seen, for people that haven't clicked on yet, we're talking about the whole shortage.
Well. It is a shortage, but it may not be a shortage of the actual item.
Yeah, it's more of a shortage of people to transit certain items. But like, so this all kind of started 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was just the news, constantly saying, it's almost like they verbalized this into reality. They've communicated this into reality in the sense of, because the way that they kind of propagated it of, oh my God, Christmas is in trouble again. There's no food. There's no petrol.
What's this winter term they keep using?
Yeah, well, they talk. It's
like a discontinued winter. Winter, there's something along that kind of lines. It's saying back from like the 19 whenever it happened then. And apparently, we're looking like we're going to do the same thing. And I'm like,
well, this goes back to what we were talking about in the last episode of human behavior is never changing.
Well, yeah,
like,
exactly.
People are like, oh my God, why is this happening again? This happened like 100 years ago. It was like, yeah, because we're stupid.
Yeah,
we're a stupid species. Like, we have all this evolved intelligence and stuff like that, right? And what we've chosen, the biggest creation that we've ever made as a species, is weapons that could eradicate our species.
What we do best.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What we do best.
So, like... So it started off with the news just constantly pumping this out, and that got everyone worried. And it felt like deja vu from March 2020.
Yeah,
because you know when they like every day before the whole stay-at-home order and blah 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 blah, and it was like they kept pumping out like we're going to do the herd immunity thing, and the news were going against that and saying like, oh my goodness, like look what's happening in Italy and stuff, and everyone just went mental, right? And it was the toilet roll then for some reason, which we don't need to go over because we've already covered that, but that was the item then, and it feels like something similar has happened here. Obviously, there's no major spike in coronavirus this time around, but it's like the news are like, oh my god, Christmas, there's not going to be enough like fuel, there's not going to be enough food, heating, gas, all that stuff, it's in shortage and stuff like that, and then that's just sent everyone into overdrive again, and now we literally have a shortage of food, fuel.
We do, but the shortage is, it's like we said earlier, the shortage isn't exactly due to there being a lack of resources, it's just there is an actual lack of transport drivers, HGV drivers. We are 25,000 less than what we had last year.
Yeah, and this has got to be like I don't want to get political here or anything, but like this has got to have some sort of relation to the impact of leaving the European Union, right?
So Brexit, I've done a little, like I said, I found a little bit about the Brexit part. So like Brexit and COVID have both kind of led to all of this, right? So Brexit, with the tax changes, obviously things cost more. They cost more when you send them to play, all of that. Prices skyrocketed. The tightened immigration laws as well. So, we're not allowed just to say get things from that person.
It's got to go through like paperwork and all that kind of stuff. Home Office.
So it made it more difficult and time consuming for EU nationals to move in and out of the country for work, because obviously Brexit, we basically got rid of a pool of EU drivers. We were their employer. Because we just got rid of them.
That was all in relation to, like, maybe this covers more than just the HGV drivers and that, but there's the freedom of movement thing, which is now no longer really from us to mainland Europe, I guess you would call it. There isn't that there now. There's a lot more hurdles that have to be overcome for...
Although Boris Johnson was considering relaxing all of those just to help.
Yeah.
But then obviously when we have all the Brexit strong Britons... who were they were kind of for it all in the first place, and now they're like, no, now you're going to kind of backtrack and try to get them back in. We're not happy with this.
Well, the government, to begin with, and this is just becoming a recurring theme at this point, it's literally like, what's that, Groundhog Day. It's literally the same thing every single day of, it's not there, there's nothing wrong, and then fast forward 7 days later, okay, there might be...
all up Poop Creek.
Do you know when, like... You see like a parent catch their like child in the act of like stealing a biscuit or something. Yeah. And like, did you take 2 biscuits? And they're like, no. And they're like, did you? Did you? And they're like, yes. That's kind of what the government is like just now.
Yeah. After a week of like the Independent, the Sun, and all that, like being like, did you? Did you do it? They're like, yes, I did.
Because he was Johnson. He was at the G26, COP26, whatever it is in America, to do with like the climate and all the world leaders and. Blah, 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 where this was going on.
Yeah.
And everyone was kind of raging back home because like they always, at moments of people needing to address things, they always seem to be doing something like halfway across the planet.
Yeah. So this is important. Well, I've got a birthday. See you later.
Yeah. And it's like, well, let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, it's like world affairs aren't that important, according to you.
I love how like we've tried to, like you were saying, he was going to relax some rules and regulations to get more drivers into, but they've basically...
That's from across the channel.
Yeah, but they've basically told us to go fuck off.
Yeah.
After the whole Brexit thing, because like they've not been able to like use this land for work and stuff like that.
And like you say, we're charging them out the arse tax.
Exactly. So like you can see...
And I found this out, did you know that this is within the UK, within certain counties throughout the whole of the UK, they actually have weight limits.
Really?
Yeah, there's weight limits in each, like in different counties throughout the country. So if a lorry driver, say from the EU, when he was allowed to do so, came over from through the tunnel or across the channel, wherever way he came, and was driving up through England, certain counties will actually have a weight limit. So, but it's the same thing. Like the other issue is that the drivers don't get treated fairly anymore, because they're actually shunned out of most cities and towns because they don't want them there. They're allowed to go and drop off, but they're not allowed to stay there for 24 hours and grab a shower and get some food, because people don't want them there. They don't want this big HGV lorry sat outside their establishment, which you can kind of understand, but at the same time, it's like these people have just delivered your goods, have literally slugged it up and down the country. And
these are the people that are
years.
keeping the machine running, quote unquote, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, that is they are the inner workings of everything.
Yeah.
And we're now going to start shunning them. I'm not surprised that we are short.
Yeah.
I mean, respect goes a long way.
Like, I try and remain like neutral on most things that we talk about because like I think in today's world especially you can get too attached to quote unquote the team or the side that you're on, and you just blindly never take anything into account, and you never challenge your own way of thinking. You're just in comfort of associating with people that think like you all the time, right?
Yeah,
like that's why we enjoy having people on from loads of different areas and that, because like I was
fresh.
I was like saying this is like a lot of the things that we've talked about, whether it be a topic that we're doing or having someone on, and long way it continue and whatnot. I've started challenging my own thinking on some subjects. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a healthy thing to do rather than just be like, no, this is the way it should be. And
well, you say that, and funny enough, I get what you mean, because say when I'm doing research, I apply it to when we do research. So I'm like, we'll just use Escobar. I'll be like, right, who was Escobar? What did he do? And it's not just that. It's like, it's more of right, how did he do it? What was wrong? What was good? Who else was involved? And it's just things like, I don't know, I've kind of like you say, looking at it from a different perspective instead of just my own normal way of being like, oh, this is what interests me.
Yeah.
It's like, what else is there? I want more. I want all the information, I don't just want little single-minded areas now. I want all of it. So I can actually build like a proper opinion, of my own opinion, instead of, like you say, following the status quo and just saying what everyone else says.
Have you ever been tempted to panic buy? It's never...
Lately, I have been, because I'll be honest, I have a slight addiction to energy drinks. So at the moment, with there not being a lot of Monster in the copy, I get quite sad.
in fairness to you, though, at least it's not like a necessity that you're panic buying.
No, exactly. It's a little, I buy 2 cans, every other day. And I'll try and make them last. Normally they last about an hour or two, but sometimes they can last me
like
over a day.
no one is complaining about a lack of Monster because of nutrition, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. It's nothing major. I mean, for the rest of it, I don't really notice. I mean, I am a celiac, because most things that you have to be like gluten free, and it's not as if the whole country is gluten free.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I have a slight advantage. Most people think free from gluten free. I ain't touching that. Well, tell you now.
That's my food.
Yeah, I'll tell you now. That's because it's mine. I own this.
Until like the news start going like gluten's bad. You're like, oh my god, panic buy all the gluten-free stuff.
Right. So back to topic. So obviously we said that Brexit affected the fuel shortage, food shortage, so on and so forth. But COVID as well, with the obvious travel restrictions.
Yeah, the travel limits and stuff like that.
So you can't go between certain zones, regardless of what your job was.
There's still is there still like I think it's just opened up again between America and the United Kingdom, but that's only for people that have had the vaccination, which is something we can maybe touch on down the line. we don't know, because I know that YouTube's really sensitive about speaking about anything to do with that.
But obviously, with more of the COVID restrictions, there also was the stay at home order. That was actually that stopped a lot. I think it was. They say they allowed necessities, like major necessities, to go through, but it's not as if it was fleets of the trucks going up and down the country. It was still minimal. So it's almost like it's like someone coming into Lossie with a pack of 4 toilet rolls and being like, right, who wants them? First dibs. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you can't do that with like hundreds of people.
Yeah,
like it's not enough. And people wonder why people start panic buying, because you can see where they're coming from. It's a stupid idea because you're cocking over everyone.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like you don't want to run out.
Because we're kind of creating our own problem, really, in a way, because of all the kind of fear and that's going on at the moment. Everyone's panic buying. And if everyone just behaved, I don't want to say normally, because I guess we never do that.
If we got rationed, we'd be all right.
But if we were sensible, which we never do anyway, but I'm just saying,
on the off chance.
If everyone just took it down a couple levels and wasn't thinking, I need to buy, like, it's made people more conscious of what they're buying just for buying sake, rather than
definitely.
I need to get a loaf of bread and that's all I need. People are going in, I need a loaf of bread, and actually the whole bread section,
just in case,
all the butter, like 30 gallons of milk,
And 30 jars of peanut butter.
Yeah. And I might as well get the jam while I'm at it as well. You know, like
sugar, tea bags.
sugar-free. You know, I like the best of both worlds. So,
but obviously, with the lockdown as well, it also closed pretty much all the driving centres up and down the country. So that links into why I was saying there was 25,000 fewer applicants than previous years.
Right. Okay.
Because the actual test centres themselves
are
were
closing
closed.
down themselves. Yeah.
So it's not just that. I mean, there are more things coming into play, apparently, along with Operation Escalon.
I'm not aware of this. Have you read up on this?
So Operation Escalon is an old MOD, Ministry of Defense, contingency plan, where basically if there was ever a fuel shortage, the military would step in and help ferry the tankers up and down the country.
I have a mate in the military, and that's exactly what they're on standby down south doing just now. So
this is what I was reading up on. I was like, but I just thought Operation Escalade. I was like, let's go, Boris. I was like, this sounds good.
It's always the army that bring it. Like, it could literally be, I don't know, someone's like breaking all the zebra crossings, and it's like military.
Yeah, that's it. Martial law. But yeah, I mean, so. Because Boris Johnson apparently was mulling over this, so I don't think it's came into full effect, but this is why they're on standby.
But what does that do not mull over?
Well,
he doesn't seem like a decisive person, does he? Like,
hello, how are you? Did I just say that?
Yeah, like it seems like his head is thinking about the fuel shortage whilst also wondering if he could fit a flip-flop in his mouth. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
and maybe if bunnies can fly.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like he's a very focused person.
No, definitely not.
He definitely doesn't focus on his hair. But as we've discussed, I think that's a conscious thing though, because it gets people, you know,
talking about
idiots like us on the internet talking about that rather than policy and fuel shortages and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's it. Because the other thing I wanted to say about the fuel shortage, you know, BP.
These are the guys that were in the Gulf of Mexico years ago. Yeah,
yes.
British Petroleum.
That's the one. I wasn't too sure if it was British. I was going to try to be quiet, but I was like, I know it's BP. That's for sure.
We just get like a bunch of like SNP members that come like, unionists. You said British. Take it back.
Oh no, Scottish Petroleum. Can you imagine? Oh jeez. Right. So BP announced it had to close some of its gas stations temporarily due to delivery issues. Now, I've underlined delivery because this is what they stated, and this is what caused the panic buy. But they didn't say it was a shortage.
They just said that the fuel was running late.
It's a delivery issue of diesel and unleaded fuels. Now, that announcement's what triggered the panic buy and caused stations to apply limits, because even up here, I know a few of the guys I work with who go past the Esso, BP, and they're all like, 30 to £35 limit.
What? Oh, it's already been limited.
Being limited. Like they're like,
which is probably smart, because I literally seen a video
It'll stop joyrides if you think about it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Shall we all just go out for a car meet? Oh no, wait, because I won't be able to get to work for the next 3 days.
What about spinnies? It's like, that's not a thing anymore. There's no fuel for that.
Operation Escalon.
There's just people out in the street. You using that fuel to go about leisurely, not to work or to school or to anything that matters. That's probably also the voice of the people that voted Brexit in, but...
Oh, Ryan, I needed that.
I'm glad that I'm giving you a therapeutic experience here.
Oh, me. But yeah, I mean, for a thing like BP to turn around and just announce it, in my head, it came across as a bit like, we're going to cause you all to panic buy because we know what you're like. We may have stated it's a delivery issue, but COVID didn't state it was going to give you diarrhea, but you still panic bought bloody
that's the thing. Like,
toilet roll.
How many people do you hear say, "Oh, do you remember when coronavirus caused the panic buying of toilet roll?" And it's like, no. Coronavirus, the actual virus itself, did not cause that. People's behavior caused that.
Yeah.
Like,
it took like 1 or 2 people to start clearing shelves, and everyone's like, "Oh wait,
yeah,
must be a thing."
I seen a lady come out of Tesco with 10 not 10 toilet rolls, single ones, but like 10
like multi-packs.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh man.
And I was
crazy.
Yeah.
We are actually just crazy, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, are we surprised at this point though? I'm not.
Nah.
Like, I was saying to my mum, there's no point us joining in terms of buying more food and stuff like that, because then we will cause food shortages, and that's not fair on people that might not be able to get food when they really need it, rather than buying so much food that you're probably not going to eat the week's shop. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
If you think about it logically here, like, this is the be all and end all, and kind of the the downfall of humans is we have a very big suspicion about each other.
Oh yeah, we do,
right?
There's very little trust.
We're all good with each other until something happens.
Yeah.
And then anything goes, right? Like
Gloves come off.
Yeah, it's not like you're saying, do you know what? I'm gonna just buy one chicken because everyone else might need those 10 chickens. You're just like, no, I'm taking 11 chickens. They're all out of date on the same day, but I don't care because I can't let anyone else have them because, you know, they might steal my house or something. Like, this is our irrational, crazy-ass way of thinking.
If I don't buy this chicken, then somehow he's going to steal my money.
It's like, I've got to buy the chickens, then I've got to find a way to buy the shop,
yeah.
and then own the shop, and then not let anyone else buy anything.
And then put an electric fence around my house. Maybe build a bunker and a panic room.
And I might need all these toilet rolls, not maybe for the original use, but I can throw them at people that are trying to steal my food.
Get out of here! I'm a TP your house.
Like, I seen a video of a lady at a petrol station, right? And she'd filled her car up with fuel. And then she had like 3 1 litre bottles of water, to which she emptied and filled up with petrol. Now, I'm no expert, but I believe if plastic could contain petrol, they would probably have been using it before jerry cans, right?
Well, yeah.
So I don't think that's probably a good idea, taking 3 litre bottles of petrol home in your car, in plastic.
Yeah, because they're not, well, you've seen what happens with, like, well, normal fizzy drinks. If you shake it up enough, the thing's going to pop.
Yeah.
You know, it'll turn into a gas and expand. If it gets too hot, boom.
Yeah, do not turn the internal heating on or light a cigarette in that car. That would be like the scene out of Casino. You know when the guy like Robert De Niro goes in the car in Casino and it blows up, but like the driver's seat's got like a metal plate in it or something, so he survives. That's exactly what will happen, and this is the crazy stuff that's happening because everyone's like being
psychotic.
Yes,
psychotic is the word we're gonna use. We're all being psychotic towards each other.
Like you're seeing people like literally knocking each other out of petrol stations, like. And this is where I take the view that the media really has a lot to answer for in this.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people do take that as gospel in terms of journalism in itself is now changed, right? I don't know if it was ever like this. Maybe I'm just more aware of it now because I'm grown up more. But when I was younger, I seen journalism as... they're reporting the news. Like, it's an investigative reporting, right? It's bringing the news to the people. Whereas now, because we're in this digital age of attention spans not being as focused as they used to be in that, because there's so much information at you at once, they need to sensationalize everything. And they know that alarm and bad... Because you never see good news on the news.
No, you don't.
And even if you do, they turn it bad.
Yeah, it's like, it was a really lovely day until he done this.
Yeah. He was a great person until he went to prison.
Yeah.
On
a lighter note, we didn't kill him.
Yeah. But this is they always do this. And because the news is ran as a business now, right? Like, if you think of Sky News, BBC, like, they're all owned by a certain group of people. Like, Rupert Murdoch's the most, like, notorious one, right? Like, he was definitely. He owns Sky News, I still believe. He was head of News of the World until that got shut down real quick with the phone hack. That could be an episode that we could do, the phone hacking scandal.
That would, but phone hacking scandals are everywhere, man.
Yeah. No, now it is, but like that was like the first time like it kind of, because at the time it was about 2010, something like that. So the phones that we have now, touchscreen, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, mobile data, it was getting to there, but this was more, it was revealed then in 2010, I think it was, or 2009, something like that. But it was covering like the early 2000s, 90s and all that stuff as well. So we're talking like an orange mobile, someone playing Snake.
That
kind
Nokia,
of time. So that was like the first time we were kind of exposed to like, oh my goodness, like there's people with powers to actually do that.
That can
like,
do that,
and get away with it. Like Piers Morgan literally goes for, I mean, we can talk about Piers Morgan all day, right? Not many people like Piers, right? And it's not even because like, he holds controversial opinions and that. It's because he consciously knows what he's doing all the time in terms of he knows he's winding people up and it makes his career, or he knows that he's fear-mongering and stuff like that. He was telling people to stay at home last winter when he was in the fucking Bahamas. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, And like,
I hate when people do that. Stay at home. Whilst I'm on holiday.
Yeah, it's like, I'm in the Caribbean, but, you know, just stay in a shared accommodation or something. You know, but like, that's the thing, though. That's why I don't like him as a person, because
he's got double standards.
It's not just the things that he says. I think he knows what he's doing all the time to benefit his career, and like, he'll say things that will get people to think, oh, he's just saying it like it is, but he'll, in the midst of all that, slide like really kind of bad energy. I don't want to sound a bit cliche with saying that.
Kind of like fuel a fire.
Yeah, like when the coronavirus first started, right? He was interviewing an expert or something, and I never watched morning TV, because you ever like pulled a sickie off of school and you're not sick, but if you watch morning TV, you will then become sick because it's that bad.
It's so bad.
Like,
it deteriorates your brain.
Obviously, it was like the start of like the stay-at-home order and that, so like there was nothing mattered at that point, you know. And he was like speaking to this expert, right? And obviously for the last 2 weeks prior to that moment, it had just been like, oh my goodness, like we don't know how long this is going to go on for. We don't know what this is, and that's obviously about that.
Yes,
a phone call was received.
Very, very quickly shut down.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Piers Morgan we were on. But he was interviewing some scientific expert. I don't know the official. Yeah, I suppose everyone's a scientific expert nowadays, right? Like,
wow, yeah.
You don't need degrees or anything to prove anything anymore.
Open university.
It's just like, you know, like, the best one's like, I'm just an open thinker.
And you're just like, so you're like everybody else.
I'm a thinker. I think things. It's like, well, everyone thinks. There's different ways of thinking, but everyone thinks at some point.
You just somehow put a price on your thoughts.
Yeah, it's like when people say, like, you know, when people have got nothing going on, and they're like, you know, I just like doing things. It's like, well, everyone likes doing things. Even if you're doing nothing, you're doing that.
Well, exactly.
You know, like, but anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
The branch corner.
Well, I've got another, because this is actually, I can't remember.
But yeah, just to finish what was on quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Because people might not appreciate that I stopped that story.
Oh, yeah.
This guy was trying to like be a bit more reassuring. He was like, well, you know, seasonal things come and go, blah, 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 or something along the lines of that. And he was like, no. Piers Morgan was like, no. Like, he was like challenging this guy. And it's like, well, he's the goddamn expert on it. Like, why?
You ain't the expert.
It was like he was knowing he wasn't getting the response he wanted of like, well, I think it's curtains for the human race, everybody. You know, like that kind of energy. So yeah, screw that guy. But
screw that guy.
He was like, just to round up about the phone hacking scandal, he was like one of the main people in that, because he was like the editor of the Daily Mirror or something. And there's I think there's actually a video of him bragging about how he knew how to hack someone's phone or something like that, which should suggest, because the Daily Mirror was involved in this as well, like the whole UK media was involved in it. Yeah,
well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
We'll cover that when we come to the phone hacking episode coming soon.
Well, yeah. Alright, so I forgot to speak about this one. So this is what, on September the 25th, the government announced a series of measures to ease the situation, which included a relaxation of competition rules so that fuel companies could pool information and try to head off shortages.
Right.
So to me, that just once again sounds like the government's given these fuel companies power to make more money.
That's like a common thing now, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've always been saying there's money to be made in a crisis, no matter what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, big companies will try and take advantage of that. Like, isn't it something ridiculous? Like poverty's went up. I can't remember the percentage, but it went up as like 50 million people or something. And
it's
now,
around about that,
from during the pandemic, and like the top 1 or 3% of the world, the billionaires, have like increased like their net worth by like 20% or something. It's something that might not be the exact. It probably isn't the exact numbers, but it's like shocking numbers when like I've seen it. You know,
it's crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, like you've literally. I mean, we've brought this up so many times, but you've literally got dudes blasting themselves into space.
Well, yeah, because they have too much money.
Yeah.
Simply why? Because they have too much money. They have a dream, but they also have the money for it.
That was another thing that happened. Johnson was like saying it because it was to do with the climate and that, right? He was talking about, because after they got over like fuel shortage, and he was like, no fuel shortage. Yeah. And he just whispered himself, there might be a fuel shortage. But like he was like saying, you know, one of the things that we can do to stop the climate problem or to halt it in its tracks which is another episode we're going to be doing when Sean gets back to South Africa. Sean might be getting back soon because the government, because they've got rid of the traffic lights list, it's now just green and red.
Yeah.
It's the red list is turning to green for 54 countries. No, there's 54 on the red list right now. See, this is how confusing all this bullshit is. There's 54 countries on the red list right now, and it's going to be reduced to 9. So hopefully, South Africa is going to be one of them, so Sean can come home without
Sean.
Without the quarantine hotel. We can get him on the northeast corner again.
That's it.
I can get my documentary going as well. So
so to carry on from what I was saying about them pooling information together to help head off shortages, the other part that the government's brought in is a new expansive training programs and encouraging existing drivers who hold a special license to get back behind the wheel.
Right, so they're trying to encourage people that have left the sector to
return, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did with the coronavirus thing as well, right? Because they got, what was it, like 10 to 20,000 people retired from the NHS.
Yes.
To go back.
Yeah.
Something like that, which is maybe not the exact same thing, but similar.
Because it's on what I just read to you. Then that's what also I was going to link into when I said like about the respect or the lack of respect the drivers get. Because like I say, like, they get shunned from cities and towns. There's not as many truck stops for them up and down the country anymore. Like the service stations up and down, there's a few, but some of the truckers aren't really allowed to stay there long. Like they're actually like told you're not here all night. You can stay you can come get your food. You can maybe hear a couple hours kit, but then you're gone.
Right.
And it basically what they're saying is compared to across the channel, like when if as soon as they go into Europe, they're actually treated with respect. They're allowed to park up anywhere for like 24 hours. There are more parking areas for them. There are more facilities. And like I say, the people are welcoming and they actually have respect for them because they understand, oh, you're bringing us goods. Thank you. Whilst we're just like, you've got a massive lorry outside my shop. Get to, you know, that is unfortunately how it's been described from actual drivers.
Like I remember joking back in 2016 after the referendum with Brexit and that I was looking forward to the anarchy that this was going to bring, of two people fighting over like a chips and cheese in the street or something like that.
Yeah,
and you know. I just said that because it was topical and it was, you know, hysteria at the time. But we might actually be a couple of weeks away from that reality.
Well, yeah, it'd be like watching all the Americans on Black Friday.
Yeah, well, yeah.
People getting an absolute kicking because I want that TV more than anyone.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I kind of think it goes back to our, like, we've all got our own ego and we're all got that narcissism.
It's all the alpha's inside us. We're all just
alpha. Can't be doing with these betas. Alpha up.
Oh, mate. Well, right. Unfortunately, that's actually all the little bits of information I grabbed for it. But
we can still.
It's scary topics, though. It is scary because if it gets worse and these contingency plans don't go ahead or aren't as successful as people hope them to be.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you think of a military convoy, it ain't going to be just one HJV lorry. This is going to be a military convoy.
Yeah.
Traveling to towns everywhere from different bases. Why are we going to be more welcoming to that? Because do you think the military is going to have time and be respectful enough to civilians who are essentially getting in their way? Mm-hmm. They're not. They're going to be like, move.
And I suppose it's like...
And we're just going to have to suck it up. But if a lorry driver does that, we're more likely to be like, well, throw stuff at them. Get out of here. But if it's the military, we're going to be like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
And once again, it's double standards.
There's obviously like... I mean, we've brought this up a few times as well. Like, we keep going back in circles when we talk, but it's all relevant.
It is.
It's probably like the distrust between the people and the state again, right?
Oh, without doubt.
Because the reason that the people in this country have, not everyone, obviously, not even maybe a majority, but there are people that have like a disdain for the military. There's people that have disdain for the police force. I mean, there's a lot more to go into with the police force. With what's happened. We'll maybe cover that in a minute, but it's like they are kind of connections and branches of the state and government themselves, right? Because even though, like, for example, the police are public sector work. No,
yes.
Is it? Yeah. Well, it's for the public, right? But if you look at what's happened, like the last 6 months or whatever, all these kind of protest bills and that came in to try and stop protests and that, and people are like, oh, well, it just means that you've got to protest peacefully, and it's like, I understand peaceful protest, like, for sure, right? Because, you know, violence is never going to help anyone, regardless of the cause of the situation. But protests, so excluding violence, But they've also taken the way of like, oh, you can't block roads. We control the noise that you do now. We control the times. Protests are meant to be an inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
That's how they change
It's
stuff.
meant to be the people standing up to the man.
Yeah, exactly. The whole insular Britain thing that's been happening in the last couple of weeks, right? That's causing an inconvenience, but to the wrong people, because the people that they're holding up have got nothing to do with what they're trying to do. But they're like saying, oh, this is a thing to the government, but it's not affecting the government. It's affecting someone that's got their job to go to, that's got their kids to feed. So that's why everyone's hating them at the moment. It's not the problem with the protest in general. It's how they're protesting, because they're not aiming it at the target.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
Like I'm pretty sure someone died from that insular protest. Someone had a stroke and they were trying to get them to hospital, and they were blocking the M25 that they've been blocking. Oh my God. And yeah, no, they didn't die actually. They're paralyzed.
Excuse my French, but fuck.
Yeah, and it's great. Like that guy that's like the lead, and we're kind of branching off here, but here we go. This is what we're all
Rabbit
about.
holes.
We just chat. Like that's basically what this is.
It's a new setup, people. You don't understand until you experience the
Can
chill.
you imagine if we have to
don't get it.
pitch something to sponsors? Like, oh, so what do you do? It's like, well,
we talk a lot of shit.
We just chat. Yeah, we believe in chatting. And we chat many different ways.
We call it shit chat.
But like the guy that's the ringleader of that group, his house isn't even insulated. Did you not see that? Like they confronted him about this, and then he walked off and stuff. And it's like, well, you've got to practice what you preach at least, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because we're like, is your house insulated? And he's like, well, you know, the government, and it's like,
here we go. Someone else's fault. Oh yeah.
It's just like, is the house insulated?
So, I mean, going back to what you mentioned about stuff in the shops. And
there's nothing there.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and like items on the shelves. I mean, like I had a little joke about me being all right with the free from section, which I may be joking, but I actually think I'm probably 90% right about that. I don't think I'll have too many shortages. I think once all normal food goes, then people are going to have to suck it up and be like, I'm buying gluten-free because it's the only thing there.
Yeah. Let's hope the electricity doesn't get affected, because then there'll be no podcast.
I actually read a lot of electrical suppliers have actually like gone. They've like busted.
Yeah, they went bust, yeah, because it was the energy crisis first, wasn't it? Yeah. It's literally just going
one after the other.
Yeah.
This is like a domino effect, isn't it? What's next?
Yeah.
What's your bet?
I don't know.
All flying will be gone. We're not going to be allowed to like do any crazy transport.
The Christmas special of this podcast will be brought to you from a nuclear shelter or something.
Fallout shelter number 53. Let's do this.
From an undisclosed location, the northeast corner. We've had to change our voice. I'm Batman. We are Venom.
That's coming out soon.
I am really looking forward to that.
I can't wait to watch that.
That is, I love Eddie. Oh, I was going to say I love Eddie Brock. But
Tom Hardy?
Eddie Brock, yeah. Tom Hardy. And I love Woody Harrelson. And he's going to be Carnage. Carnage was always one of my most favorite.
What an appropriate title to describe the world at the moment. Let there be carnage.
Well, do you think they know?
Yeah, maybe this is promo for the film.
That's what I think. This is all a live set.
Boris is going to come out, and then Woody Harrelson's going to appear, and I was like, there's going to be carnage. It's like, it was all a massive prank, everybody.
And then, like, it is really scary thinking that we're going to go into the shop at some point. We're probably not going to be able to get toothpaste. We're probably not going to be able to get soap or body wash or shampoo. Or if we can, it's all going to be like, this is going to kind of go down a rabbit hole. I don't like using products which are tested on animals. So I like cruelty-free.
Yeah.
Cruelty-free. Mm-hmm. But cruelty-free is a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
you know, it just is. It's more expensive. Most of the time, anyway, depending on the brand. But 9 times out of 10, it's more expensive. But you always notice that it's cruelty-free items that tend to go first, because a lot of people kind of feel the same way I do about it. Like, no one likes to think of.
Well, it's just a philosophical way of thinking, right?
Right. You don't want bunnies getting blinded just so they know that it's going to make your hair
exactly
soft.
Like L'Oreal were looking at you. Well, could be any of the companies, but L'Oreal was just the first one that came up. No offense, please don't sue.
Yeah. Head and Shoulders.
We apologize.
But no, like, So, I mean, we're going to get left with items that essentially no one wants, but we're all going to end up being forced to buy. And this is where I have another worry of where I think manufacturers are going to just be like, well, supply and demand. It used to be £1. Now it's £3.50 for my little 250 milliliters of shite shampoo. Which is blinded like 70 odd bunnies in the making. And you're just like, I feel so great about this. Hey, I wonder why we're going to go through a depression. Are you joking? Now I have to spend like 300% more money on like crappy little items, which you don't want to use. You don't have, you have no use for it, but it's the only one there and you have to make do.
I mean, I would feel...
I'll be okay. It's just me to look after. Yourself, you have a family, you know. There's a family here. You've got siblings, and there's more mouths to feed.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
That's what worries me, because my situation, like I say, it's only me and my mother. Not too much of a big issue. It's 2 people, and then it's your household. There's what, 4, 5?
4, yeah.
So I mean that's
well, 7 if you include the cats. Cats have got to be fed as well.
They're pretty big cats as well. So they definitely don't miss out on many meals. They are large, but no, but what's going to happen is I actually think what I said earlier with the military bringing in rationing like they did in the wars may not be as severe in any way, shape or form. Like I don't see us getting little sugar hard-boiled sweeties that you've got to melt down and drink just to get energy levels.
Your ration today is 4 pear drops, it would appear.
And a sachet of gruel. But I reckon something may be put in place. Like Shop's done it with the COVID pandemic. You know, you're only allowed 2 of this item, 2 of that item. If you have a large family, then obviously you had to go in and speak to the shop manager and be like, look, I have a household of 12. You can't send me away with 1 4-pack of toilet roll. It's not good enough.
That will be gone within the hour.
Exceptions need to be made. But yeah, I'm just really worried, Ryan. I am really, really worried about it. I don't know what's going to happen. None of us know what's going to happen. Not even the leaders of our own bloody country can tell us what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, what's new there, right?
Well, exactly. It's a blind leading the blind. And do you know when you're just sick of incompetence all the time? Because we get led by incompetent people all the time. And it really pisses me off when they sit there and say, we're going to do this because I want to. Well, we voted you into power to do things that we want you to do.
Yeah.
Not because you all of a sudden have woken up and been like, I'm going to do this.
This is the game that politicians play, right? They
lie,
they care about you
steal.
For 6 weeks on the run up to an election, and once they have that vote, like you see this all the time, like, and it happens from all sides of the spectrum as well.
I'm going to give the NHS like $25 billion, and then as soon as they're into power, I'm sacking 250,000 employees from the NHS, and you're like, that totally flipped on itself.
Like, isn't that to do with the vaccination mandate in social care though?
Yeah. It just annoys me, King, because the NHS, we need the NHS, regardless on how they try swing it.
When they talk about the NHS being overwhelmed, that's not exactly going to help the problem, is it?
Exactly.
Let's
make it worse.
Having more people in the NHS rather than taking away from it. It's like when they closed the what do you call them? The Nightingale hospitals right before the second wave.
Yeah.
Or right on like New Year's Eve before the whole stay-at-home order again, and it's like, but
do you know what else I'm going to bring up? Just to give us all, this is obviously all UK based, so any listeners who are abroad. Obviously, it may be a bit different for you, but during panic buying seasons due to any kind of crisis or pandemics, in Gloucester when I was there, I was walking past hotels. Now, these hotels kindly, out of their own good, it wasn't just a government scheme.
Oh, was this housing the homeless?
They were housing the homeless. They were giving them places to shower, sleep, and eat. Now, most of these hotels have to essentially revamp that whole floor because they were bodily fluids everywhere. There were needles from heroin everywhere, stashed in drawers. But it was, you would walk past it, they would have the windows open, and there's about 6 of them jumping in the window, and it's like, why did you take advantage of something like that, which was actually really nice and a really good idea? I thought, you're getting them off the street, you're stopping a spread, they can be contained where they are. Yes, the government's now going to give the hotel a little bit of money for it, But that doesn't replace the carpets, the rugs, the beds, the showers, the TVs, which were on walls and have now made it halfway down the street, the kettles, which have nowhere to be seen, the microwaves, which are not there anymore. And this is all because they were like, right, the government says we're going to do this, so we're going to do it for you. We're going to help you. And then they get robbed blind. And people wonder why, like, not big businesses, for example, with hotels, we're just going to say Premier Inn. You know, that's a big chain, you know? Like the Gloucester City Hotel was like a privately...
It's like a small business, right?
It's a small business, like a family-owned hotel, essentially. There's no extra funding for them, you know? There's not chains of that. But they literally they got absolutely ruined. And I remember speaking to the owner and I was just like, I actually really do feel for you. Yeah, and this has all been caused because of a crisis. And yes, now the fuel crisis isn't just like COVID. COVID has added to it, as we kind of like briefly like discussed. But a crisis is a crisis, and people go, as we know, people go mental during a crisis. They can't think straight. They can't focus. They don't know what they're doing.
We're all very highly strung, really, aren't we?
It's a very stressful situation. Like, it is. You can cut tension in the air.
I've always been of the mindset of, if things are going to happen, they're going to happen anyway. So there's no point worrying about it until it's actually happened. Not to the point of where, like, because some people maybe think that with money, and then they're like, oh wait, I'm 50 grand in the hole. Not to that extent, but like, you know, with the food shortages, like my mum got a food shop last week, and you know, we got pretty much everything that we wanted, right? So that, you know, very blessed, obviously, because that's not a given in the world, right? We're very privileged in this country to be able to have a choice of what to eat or have food at all, right? I would like to think that if everyone behaved sensibly, things are not going to get devastatingly bad, but I do not trust that we're going to behave sensibly.
Do you know what I think would be a really good idea as well? Is if the government came out with like not a scheme as such, but something to encourage home growing.
Oh, as in like growing your own vegetables.
Growing your own vegetables. Yeah. Doesn't take them. Fair enough. You have to have access to a garden. Yeah. With grass and soil. You know, otherwise you've got to somehow get your hands on a plot of land. Yeah. But I think something like that would be good if they got, because polytunnels, you can pick up a polytunnel in B&M for peanuts, right? Yeah. Peanuts. Government mass buy that. Give that to people and say, look, we are going to supply you with this so you can actually start growing some basic vegetables in your own garden, which is what? Going to be your tomatoes, potatoes, maybe a little bit of fruit. You could probably do watermelon up here, I reckon. I reckon you could probably get away with growing a watermelon.
Vast variety of stuff.
Do you know what, though? I love potatoes, man. Yeah. I seriously love potatoes. So any kind of root vegetable would grow beautifully up here. Yeah. And so easily.
Well, like, farming's one of the biggest economic
and not just land farming for us either, it's also fish farming as well.
Yeah.
Like, so like we are lucky on some fronts that a lot of this happens here, but also a lot of that products get sold elsewhere.
Yeah, and you know that like as the Sainsbury's, Tesco, Morrison's are going to be like, hold my big business supermarket chain. Yeah. That's going to lose us money.
Well, exactly. And that's when, it all leads to, once again, transportation. Yeah. Funny enough, we've went full circle on that whole conversation. Yeah. We just came back to transportation issues. Yes, that's the problem, people. We have transportation issues up and down the country and probably around the world right now as well. Yeah. Especially from us and our old neighbours at EU. Yeah. You know, it's not pleasant. It's not fun. But I'm glad to see that some of us are holding out. Like, me and you are seeming to do all right, you know, but that's because we're not mean people. We're not panic buying and we're buying chill. All the necessity stuff. We kind of understand that there are others more than just us.
We're the definition of chill because we don't have a heater in here yet.
Yeah, that's the next thing we have to invest in. Because I'm not going to lie, people, it's kind of cold in here today.
We've got the mics, we've got the boom arms, we've got comfy seats.
I've got a little bit of steam.
People are going to be like, they're running out of topics now, aren't they? Look at the steam, everybody. Please subscribe to the Northeast Corner so that we don't have to talk about steam.
No, they understand I'm still not properly working, but
no, he's hungover. He's acting. Don't ignore him.
It's all an illusion.
So, I mean, I suppose we could just kind of. I want to talk about just to like kind of end us off here, because we've got about maybe 10, 15 minutes left, of how far that we've actually came with this thing. And I know like it's not like we've got like a massive audience, and like we're doing like live podcast or anything mental like that. But I was looking back the other night at the first
JK.
Yeah, the Jeremy Kyle episode. The first episode we've done. It's been 3 months. We've been doing this for 3 months now. It hasn't felt like it.
Quarter of a year. That's
went
crazy.
like pretty quick. And
that is crazy.
From that episode of not syncing the audio up properly, and us kind of bucketing of sweat, and we all had to have notes and stuff. To now this, where like we had the little, you remember those little shitty tripod things that we had the mics on and stuff like that? Oh my
god, yeah, the ones that if you breathed it would tip.
Yeah, it would tip over. See, we're building.
And people, I don't, obviously you don't all realize that this has all been funded by the man himself, Ryan. You know, like I've helped out a little bit, but most of this was all Ryan. The setup, the area, the cameras, the kit, the tech. It's all been bought for me. Well, not just for me, but for us to use. You know, and actually have a good advantage of using it all. But yeah, I just want you all to know it's not cheap and it takes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why you should like and subscribe and I don't know,
appreciate what we do.
Maybe we'll set up a Patreon and you can give us £10 a week. No, is that too much?
Top fans only. I'm sorry.
Imagine that. Like we're trying to like take advantage of it, like big business. Like, okay, you could buy a loaf of bread, or you could give the Northeast Corner £10 for a fan heater. No. Sounds like a good idea. It's a good deal, right?
If someone sends us a fan heater, you'll get a shout out.
Yeah, you won't have to watch John blow steam anymore.
Oh yeah, no one wants that.
We won't be able to bring that up as a topic anymore. We'll actually have to do some serious chat. So that's the benefit you get out of it. So you know it's worth your money.
It is, no, but it is. To be fair, we have it's came so far, man. It really has. We started up behind the makeshift bar, Then we realised we kind of feel like we're sat in the House of Commons.
Yeah, we're like an MP's committee.
Possibly we're like joint judges, you know. Like
we'll go back. If Jeremy Kyle comes on this podcast,
I'm going up there.
The odds on that are like 10 billion to 1 on Ladbrokes at this stage, right? But if he ever was to come on this, we're still doing it in here. I want to change studio down the line. This is like eventually, maybe like hire somewhere out or something if we can afford it or something like that. But that's many mountains down the road.
Yeah, maybe.
But if he did come on, we would come back here, and we're not going to use the little. We'll use the boom arms. We're not going to use the little shitty tripod things. We're not going to be that authentic. But you know, Jeremy Kyle can sit down there. We'll be the MP's committee, like we were talking about.
So, Jeremy,
yes,
you were a twat.
That ends today's proceedings.
Show yourself out.
Yeah, Jeremy Kyle's going to be after us now, isn't he? It's between him and Joe Biden, right? Like, one of those two. It's going to be embarrassing because one of them is going to properly mess us up at some point. And that's going to be embarrassing.
If one of them goes on live TV and says anything NEC, then then we know.
Yes,
we have reached the top level of peeing people off.
The Northeast Corner is brought to you from an undisclosed location as we're in hiding.
Under the sea.
We've pissed too many powerful people off.
So basically, go to the Congo, find a cave, dig deep in that cave.
And somehow we found electrical sockets
and
in that
that's
cave.
it. And then you might find us there.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Right, I think that's probably going to do us, Ryan, isn't it?
Well, we can maybe go.
So what we're going to do next week? What did you say next week?
So we've got next week's crazy, man. Next week is legit crazy because we've got work commitments.
Yeah, work commitments.
So next
this coming week,
Monday is we're gonna have a musician in. You know, Jamie Akas is gonna be here. Hopefully, all of us are gonna be here. But I've only got 3 boom arms, so one of us.
I'm gonna quickly mention something about Jamie Akas. Did you notice his new little regime he's got on the go?
In terms of like the gym and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Really, really chuffed with him, eh? He's actually doing really well. I'm looking forward to speaking to him about that.
Yeah.
I am. I don't want to go into it deeply now. I'm like, no, but I just wanted to be like, I'm looking forward to speaking about that.
Paul, also known as the chap with the hat.
The chap with the hat?
If he's not wearing the hat, the chap.
The chap, eh? The chicken chaser?
Was saying that we need to ask him why he's got the nickname Steve, so.
Yeah, because I remember, when I first met Jamie, he was actually introduced to me as Steve.
As Steve, right.
But that was through Bryn. And I was like, why did you call... I can't remember. I was like, why are you called Steve? It's I think someone just called him it one night and it just stuck.
Just
I'm
stuck.
like, that can't, you know, when you're thinking that just can't be the reason.
Yeah.
Like you don't get a name like Steve just from one random person calling you by accident and then it's sticking. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
like, no, I need to know. We're here for the truth, not facts.
Oh, God.
Go on, Biden.
Joe Biden, we're so sorry.
We are going to get your little cardboard cutout. You will at some point be up here.
I totally forgot about that.
You will be our sponsor.
So we've got the Joe Biden cardboard cutout, Chris Grant CD so far. Just to add to the wall.
We do. We're going to have to... We're going to keep going.
Our picture when Jeremy Kyle comes on, that'll be up there.
Possibly us in jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Possibly for being arrested and annoying someone, or it'll be something like that. If Jeremy Kyle comes in here, he's not coming alone.
Yeah. We're making it sound like he's some part of like big gangster organization or something.
You've seen his backup, the bodyguard.
Well, that's true. Yeah. He's called Steve as well.
I know. This is why I'm worried. Like, please don't think that we're talking about you.
Yeah, but we've got that next. It won't be coming out next Monday, but
that's when we're going to be here.
That's when we're going to be recording it. I keep forgetting, like, there's like
we're just here to mess with your heads, people. We're
a
just
week and a half delay between
jumps.
recording, editing, uploading, blah, 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 blah. Because the Spanish flu pandemic one that we did a couple of weeks ago isn't even out yet. It's like out this Friday. I do remember correctly. I uploaded it. Why wouldn't I remember it correctly? And then I'm doing an interview with someone that's a guy called Ben Sullivan, who's on the TV. He has, I believe he has 11 children, all in the same house.
The military one.
Yeah.
Right, cool. All right.
So he's coming on. I'm interested, right? Because people will be like, oh, well, like, what's noteworthy there? But, like, that dude's got, like, a really kind of unique story in terms of, like, he's been on the TV, obviously. That's not the reason why, like, he's coming on the podcast, obviously. We're not like, oh, you were on the TV? Come on.
Yeah. Like, it's an interesting topic, to be fair.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because, like, I think there's, like, a stigma when you hear people having, you know,
loads of children.
it seems to be like if you're over 4, right? Over 4 children, people kind of look down on you more like, oh, I bet you don't provide for all of them or something like that. Whereas, like, you know, this dude literally
clearly does.
They're all in the same house, provides for all of them. You know,
they're well looked after.
Yeah,
go to school, they get fed.
Yeah. So we've got quite a variety of guests coming on. We've got the combat sports people coming on soon. Kevin McAloon, King of the North, as he's known.
Nice.
Going to
King of the Northeast.
King of the Northeast Corner. That's what I'm going to call the episode.
Right, I want the crown. You can have a scepter, and we'll get some cloak on the go. Nice red velvet.
Let's not embarrass ourselves here. That idea will not be happening.
It definitely will.
And we've got an amateur boxer coming on. We've got a Doug Nevins, who was one of the original Jiu-Jitsu misfits, who Kev was also a part of. He's coming on November. Loads of stuff to sort out. Like it is.
Busy.
The workload is quite heavy sometimes, and recording it is the best part.
It's the easiest part.
Yeah, it is, because we're just talking.
Yeah, it's like I'm laughing.
Yeah, like we're just basically
chilling.
We would be talking, maybe not exactly like this, because you don't come into my house and we're like, oh, what's up? And you're like, you know what, Ryan? Let's talk about fuel shortages for 50 minutes, round it up about what's happening next week when we get together, and a little seasoning of some other topics in there.
That's it.
Just and a mention for Jeremy Kyle and Joe Biden.
It's what we do.
But no, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, mate. Like,
yeah, it is. It's good.
It's more natural now as well, right? Like,
I find it very cathartic.
Yeah.
Like, say if I've had with my new job, I don't really have a bad week or a bad day. I can get myself a little tense or a little bit stressed, but it's not really at people. It's just about a situation. And see when it's like, right, John, it's podcast time. Right. Head straight back in the zone, focused on what I'm trying to do, looking up information, making notes, come here. And like I say, all we do is laugh.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Most people hear me before they see me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most people know it's me because all I do is laugh. And I find it so cathartic coming here. And like, I actually leave here being like, I could go for a nap.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not because I feel like we've worked really hard or I've been bored or anything like that. I've got out all of my like stresses.
It's almost like, in a weird way, it's almost like exercise.
Yeah,
The
well, it's definitely
endorphins
brain exercise.
Because like, when the week that we don't do it, I'm conscious like I need to do one of them.
Need to do something.
Yeah,
need to get the mind working.
Because like we could have waited just till next Monday, but I feel like that's been maybe 3 weeks at that point.
Yeah, we can't do.
We've done it. We need
don't want to do that long away.
This is consistency that we need,
and that's what we go for.
Consistency. See, I nearly missed the camera there. I've moved them about, so still getting used to the new setup. Maybe this is probably the time where we should be wrapping this up because it feels like if I'm not pointing at the camera correctly, then it can only go more downhill from here. Anyway, man. The world's ending. There's no food. There's no electric. No fuel.
Everybody panic! There's another crisis. We just don't know what it's called yet.
There's still a local podcast for you to listen to for now.
Well, that's it.
Until one of our nemesises.
JK or JB, one of you. That's it. The alphabet of J's. Let's do this.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you whenever we're on next.
That's it. Take care from the NEC, guys.
This podcast is also available on Google Podcasts, Breaker, Pocketcasts, RadioPublic, and Spotify.